Welcome to the Stepping Up with LCL virtual event. Thank you for joining us in the journey to appreciate the importance of well-being in our profession, hear about leading initiatives to support well-being, recognize the critical connection between well-being and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and celebrate 45 years of Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers saving families, careers, and lives in Minnesota. As many of you may know, we planned an in-person breakfast for April 2020. While COVID may have derailed our plans for coming together in person, it hasn't diminished our message. If anything, it has strengthened the need for it. A focus on well-being in the profession and for each of us personally is more important than ever. We are thrilled to have ABA President Patricia Lee Rifo here to talk to us about ABA national initiatives regarding well-being in the legal profession and to be joined by MSBA President Diane Ebert as well. The Stepping Up with LCL event is both a celebration and a call to action. This year marks the 45th year of LCL, the nation's longest operating lawyer assistance program. We want to continue and we want to celebrate our achievements, but also invite you to step up for yourself, your colleagues, and for your profession. Stay tuned to hear how LCL is stepping up with you. One of the ways we can all step up for well-being is to speak out about stigma. In 2016, ABA President Paulette Brown declared that mental health should be recognized in discussions, trainings, and other efforts to enhance diversity and inclusion in our profession. ABA presidents have continued this call. Today, our ABA's current president, Trish Rifo, joins us to once again demonstrate the ABA's support at the highest levels for lawyer well-being and the importance of speaking up and speaking out.
Alcoholism,
depression,
suicide,
drug addiction,
anxiety, and depression.
What kind of person do you imagine when you hear these terms? Do you picture me?
or me,
or me.
Chances are you pictured someone who isn't a professional.
Someone who isn't successful, and certainly not a lawyer.
But we now know, thanks to national studies, that lawyers experience these challenges to their physical, mental, and professional well-being at rates significantly higher than the general public.
We also know that lawyers rarely seek help for conditions such as depression, alcohol, and substance use disorders.
It was often a status symbol if you could drink a lot, party hard, get very intoxicated, and yes, still do well.
I come from a no-talk family where everything was swept under the rug. It took me a long time to move past the family fairy tale and decide that I deserved help and would do whatever it took to get it.
I didn't get help because I truly believed I was an outlier. I knew I couldn't control my addiction, but I was so successful at school and in work that I thought I was invincible.
Fear kept me from getting help. Fear that you would look at me differently, fear that you would judge me, fear that you would think I was a weakling.
Pride in everything that I had accomplished, and fear that I was going to lose it all. Those were the things that kept me from seeking help for my alcoholism.
I didn't ask for help because I thought I was smart enough that I could figure out my own never-ending sadness and nervousness by myself.
The shame and guilt I felt about my alcoholism is what kept me from seeking help.
I was afraid of admitting I had a problem, afraid of being labeled an alcoholic and the stigma that I thought would be associated with that.
Don't let fear keep you from getting the help you need. Today, real courage is about reaching out and asking for help when you're struggling.
Know that your fellow members of the bar want you to seek help when it's needed.
Recovery is possible.
We want to send a clear message to the whole profession. You don't have to face these issues alone.
Help is available for you through your state's assistance program for lawyers, judges, and students, or employee assistance program.
Once I got help, I was able to become the person and the lawyer I knew I could be.
My life story became one of hope and resilience.
Of gratitude, fulfillment, fellowship, and service.
And today, with over 8 years of sobriety, I'm present in my relationships and grateful every day.
Because I received help, I was able to put things in perspective and visualize a meaningful life ahead of me.
I'm empowered and I'm flourishing.
I have peace, serenity, pride, and happiness.
My life now is freedom, freedom from fear and mistrust.
My life is fulfilling, serene, and successful.
By seeking help and caring for themselves, law students, lawyers, and judges are protecting the rule of law. Don't let stigma stand in your way.
It's my pleasure to introduce your MC and one of the stars of the ABA anti-stigma video. Judge Donovan Frank was appointed as a federal district court judge by President Clinton in 1998. He served on the Minnesota Supreme Court Racial Bias Task Force and the Minnesota Supreme Court Implementation Committee on Multicultural Diversity and Racial Fairness in the Courts from 1993 to 1998. And we were fortunate to have Judge Frank as LCL's board chair during 2019 to 2020. Please welcome Judge Donovan Frank.
Thank you, Joan. I'm happy to be here to celebrate 45 years of help and hope with LCL. However, before we continue on with the program, it's so important for me to say that there's something else about the 45-year anniversary and the longest-serving organization like this in America. It's also will be 45 years in October for me, celebrating sobriety, having coming out of treatment in 1976 as a third-year law student. And so it's been a privilege for me to work with LCL, and it helps in my recovery too. And so it's a very special day for lots of reasons. To begin our program, please join us at this time for a brief mindfulness exercise to help us be in those moments. Please welcome with me Spiwe Jefferson to guide us in this exercise.
My name is Spiwe Jefferson, and I am an attorney, certified mindfulness practitioner, and author of the upcoming book, Mindful in 5. I have been practicing mindfulness meditation for well over a decade and have found it to be a tremendous benefit both personally and professionally, just as LCL is a tremendous resource for our profession. Set aside your worries and be still. There is nowhere to be and nothing to do. There is only now. If, once your eyes are closed, you need somewhere to focus them right here. Mentally turn them in towards that center point between your eyebrows, which some people know as the center of consciousness. Get used to the silence. This might be the only time all day that you're actually going to hear your own heartbeat. Take time and just enjoy the silence and the stillness. And we're going to do this for 1 minute. So here we go. I'm going to set my alarm for 1 minute, and I'd ask you at this time, just close your eyes and let's just take a deep breath. Inhale. Hold it Exhale. Inhale all the good you want. Let it sit in your body. Exhale. Inhale everything positive. Let it sit in your body. Exhale all the negative. For the next few moments of silence, just practice inhaling and exhaling at your normal rate of breathing, and just visualize positive in, negative out. Open your eyes slowly. Thank you for doing this 1-minute meditation with me. Enjoy the rest of the session.
Welcome back to the program. I hope that mindfulness exercise helped you to be present with us today and can serve as a tool for you that you can use in the future. Thank you, Spiwe. Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers is an organization that provides free, confidential assistance for Minnesota lawyers, judges, law students, and yes, their immediate families who are affected by any condition that causes stress or distress at work or at home. This could include alcohol, drugs, and other addictions, depression, anxiety, and mental illnesses, and stress and other life-related problems. It is truly an honor for me today to serve as the past chair of the Board of Directors for Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers and as your MC today. As you saw in the video, it is imperative that we are all able to ask for and to access the support we need to do our best work, and it's always safe to seek that help. This can be a particular challenge for members of unrepresented groups in our profession when implicit or explicit, actual or anticipated bias stands in the way of receiving the important support we need. This added source of stress is why LCL is committed to joining in and leading diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in our profession, including listening and support sessions in recent weeks. Our profession is on the front lines of everything that is difficult and traumatizing in our society, and it is critical that we all have the support we need to do our best work and serve our clients and communities. LCL is your partner. We often talk about pillars of well-being intellectual, occupational, physical, spiritual, emotional, and social. You'll hear more about those later. One of the things that makes LCL such a valuable resource is its commitment to confidentiality. But don't take it from me. Listen to someone who knows this personally.
Confidentiality is a very serious concern for any judge, especially in a smaller community. But sometimes you just need to talk to someone when things aren't going well. I didn't know where to go or who to call, but I was desperate for some help with a personal problem that was affecting my home life and my confidence in my job. Finally, I called LCL. Their help was immediate, confidential, and remains so to this day. I dealt with only one person who totally understood the need for complete confidentiality and who took the time to understand the challenges and the opportunities in the work I do. They listened to me, helped me develop a plan, and connected me to additional resources. I was so relieved and grateful for their assistance. Confidentiality never became an issue. I'm glad I called.
Here to talk to you a little bit about, and quite a bit more about LCL. It's truly my privilege and honor to welcome another fellow board member, Caitlin Rose Fisher, and I welcome at this time, Caitlin Rose Fisher.
Thank you, Judge Frank, and thank you all. Thank you, Judge Frank, and thank you all so much for being here today. It is my pleasure to talk to you about the important work LCL does every day and the ways we can step up for wellness in the legal profession together. We chose the name of this event, Stepping Up with LCL, for important reasons. What do we mean by stepping up? Stepping up means taking time to care for yourself so you can best serve your clients. Stepping up means supporting each other and being willing to reach out if you see someone struggling. And stepping up means joining with LCL and other well-being supporters to break the stigma around asking for and offering help. I'm asking you to step up today as an LCL board member who sees firsthand the many ways in which LCL serves our legal community, both publicly and often behind the scenes. And this includes a need-based fund to help cover treatment and related services. And I'm also asking you to step up as someone who has personally benefited from LCL services and wants those same robust services to be there for others. Now, I don't have as much sobriety as Judge Frank, but almost 10 years ago, I realized that I needed to stop drinking. And about 1 year later, I started law school at the University of Minnesota, and I was anxious about that timing. LCL was there at orientation, and I learned that I wouldn't be alone as I worked to maintain my own wellness and my own sobriety while preparing to enter our profession and serve others. And 9 years later, I know I'm a better lawyer and a better member of our legal community because of LCL's support. And I want it to be there for others. So I hope you'll join me and LCL in stepping up for wellness. Now you'll notice that the second part of today's event is titled With LCL. We want you to know that you don't have to step up alone. LCL is here for you, no matter where you are. We support individuals, we support organizations in being proactive about well-being and responsive when help is needed in moments of crisis. LCL services are free. We are partially funded through an agreement with the Supreme Court and partially funded through generous donations and the support of today's sponsors. These donations enable LCL to provide a full range of services. So we invite you to step up with LCL and to support LCL's core services, supporting judges, lawyers, law students, and their immediate family members. Join us as an ally, an ambassador, or a donor. You are a part of making our legal community stronger. And if you can, we're asking that you step up financially. Your gift helps LCL build a profession where all of us are supported in doing our best work in a culture of equity, respect, and acceptance. Please, if you're able, consider a donation today. The link to donate is on the screen now and in the chat box. Thank you for taking the time, for being here to step up for yourself and our profession, and thank you for your generosity. All right, Judge Frank, back to you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin Rose. Now, before I introduce our next speaker, I'd like to take you back a few years to a former ABA president and LCL volunteer. We lost David several years ago, but he remains with us in spirit for another reason too. He was one of the first individuals locally and nationally talking about it's safe to get help, you're not weak to seek help, and let's be in this together. So now I'd like to let you see and hear from David Brink.
Well, I practiced law for over 50 years and was pretty good at it. I liked to drink, but I didn't abuse it very much. Then I retired and had nobody to report to or account to, and I began to drink a bit. And I began to drink quite a bit. I went to Hazelden and for 28 days, I believe, and I was immediately brought into LCL, which was a wonderful thing to have happen to me.
Importantly, in addition to having been a former ABA president and LCL volunteer, David Brink was also president of the Minnesota State Bar Association. Our next speaker is the current president of the Minnesota State Bar Association, and we are truly honored that she is joining us on this special day. Diane is a shareholder in Quinlivan and Hughes, and she has been an avid supporter of well-being and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in our profession. I give you Diane Ebert.
Thank you so much, Judge Frank. I also want to thank Joan Biebehals and the LCL Executive Director for inviting me to participate in today's program. The Minnesota State Bar Association and LCL have enjoyed a very long partnership and have a common interest in ensuring members of the legal profession have access to the resources and services that help lessen the stress that unfortunately permeates our profession and leads to an increase in issues of chemical dependency and untreated mental health. As lawyers, we pride ourselves on being a resource to solve the problems of our clients, but we often ignore or fail to address our own problems. LCL has been instrumental in not only being a resource for those lawyers who recognize their need for assistance, but also getting the word out to those who have been reluctant to seek the help that they need. And in doing so, LCL has helped to diminish the stigma that is often associated with these issues. But LCL is so much more than a resource for lawyers. LCL has also taken an active leadership role in a wide variety of initiatives, including participating in the Minnesota State Bar Association's Life and the Law Committee, which is now known as the Wellbeing Committee, and also serving on the MSBA's Diversity and Inclusion Council. It is this involvement that makes the title of today's program, Stepping Up for Wellbeing, so appropriate. LCL has certainly stepped up to support our legal profession. And on behalf of the MSBA, I want to say thank you to LCL. And it's my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you our next speaker, the ABA President, Patricia Lee Rifo. President Rifo, like me, has had the unique opportunity to serve as a Bar Association pandemic president. Ms. Rifo took over the leadership of the ABA in August and has been, virtually at least, traveling the country and the world, representing the largest voluntary association of attorneys and legal professionals in the world. President Rifo is a partner in the Phoenix, Arizona law firm of Shell and Wilmer, and she concentrates her practice on complex commercial litigation and internal investigations. Before becoming ABA president, Ms. Rifo served in several leadership positions with the ABA, including chair of the House of Delegates, chair of the litigation section, chair of the Standing Committee on Membership, and she was also appointed by the Supreme Court Chief Justice William H. Rehnquist to serve on the Advisory Committee of the Federal Rules of Evidence of the United States Judicial Conference. She has also been active in her local bar association in Arizona, serving on the Supreme Court Advisory Council's Committee on the Rules of Evidence, and was also a recipient of the State Bar Association President's Award. Ms. Rifo has been integrally involved in advancing and supporting the ABA's Practice Forward initiative, which is intended to address the significant impact the pandemic has had on our legal profession and led to the formal adoption of the ABA policy on well-being in the legal profession. President Rifo received her Bachelor of Arts degree with high honors and high distinction and her JD cum laude from the University of Michigan. So please join me in welcoming President Rifo.
Thank you, Diane, so much for that very kind invitation. And I want to start by just saying thank you to all of you for being here as we celebrate 45 years of the longest running Lawyers Assistance Program in the country. I am just honored to be with you today. LCL is a national leader with the ABA and our Commission for Lawyer Assistance Programs on providing wellness awareness and support for lawyers, judges, and law students. Today's event is a meaningful part of what must be the legal profession's sustained commitment to promoting well-being for ourselves and our colleagues, to provide support for lawyers in troubling circumstances, and to destigmatize mental health and substance use problems. Judge Frank, thank you especially to you for your courage and your leadership, for being such a valued role model for our profession. And a big thank you to Joan. You have been a long-time leader in the ABA and here at LCL to help our colleagues understand and confront the disproportionate plague of mental health problems and addiction in our profession. Your important work and steadfast devotion to our cause continue the legacy and memory of my predecessor as ABA president from Minneapolis, David Brink. And it was wonderful to see him in that video clip a moment ago. Our work to promote lawyer well-being has always been essential, but the pandemic and shutdowns exacerbated the problems we face and underscored the importance and the need for our continued efforts. This became abundantly clear through the ABA's Practice Forward initiative, which we established in the early months of the shutdowns to expand our help for lawyers as they and we navigate the challenges of this pandemic. Practice Forward has been processing information and resources from across the ABA and far beyond to help lawyers in any practice setting work and thrive in these challenging times. Its website can be found at ambar.org/practiceforward. Practice Forward recently completed a comprehensive survey of lawyers, and the results are eye-opening for those who are focused on lawyer wellness efforts. So I'm going to talk for just a few minutes about some of the information that came out of that survey. The Practice Forward report shows that more than half of all lawyers, like me, are working from home 100% of the time. While most reported that they're just as productive, they often feel overwhelmed. Lawyers worry about their job security. They worry about client access and developing business. They worry about juggling billable hour requirements with work and home responsibilities. And although the transition to remote work has affected all lawyers, the Practice Forward survey has found that it had a disproportionate impact on those in our legal community who already face challenges in our profession: women lawyers with children and lawyers of color. The Practice Forward survey results confirm the continued urgency of another critical matter affecting the health and well-being of individual lawyers and our profession as a whole. And that's the need for meaningful equity and inclusion for lawyers of color. The Practice Forward survey found that lawyers of color are significantly more likely to feel stress at work because of their race or ethnicity compared to white lawyers. Race also interacts with gender, so that women of color were significantly more likely to experience stress at work on account of race compared to white women or to men of color. Our survey found that too many members of our profession are working in settings that are not yet laser focused on strategies to develop a diverse group of talented lawyers who reflect the breadth of backgrounds, training, and experiences that lead to successful teams of lawyers. The data reinforce that the future of our profession hinges on the ability to retain, advance, and include the full range of women and lawyers of color who have entered the profession in large numbers over the past 20 years and will continue to do so. So I encourage you to read the Practice Forward report and review the other resources, as I said, all at ambar.org/practiceforward. As stewards of our justice system, all lawyers, and that means all of us, have to keep working every day to ensure that our profession is truly diverse and truly inclusive. We can each do that in small but hugely important ways in our own practice settings and in big ways through systemic programs. And lawyer assistance programs are among the institutions in our profession that have a special duty to ensure that their services meet the needs of a diverse profession. Each of you with the ABA at your side plays a critical role to promote a healthy and vibrant legal profession. Our goal together is to help lawyers to be better lawyers, not only in their individual practice areas, but also as greater champions for our profession and the rule of law and our collective goal of equal justice for all. The pandemic laid bare the social, economic, class, and racial inequities in our society, inequities that our legal and justice systems can either uphold or, if we want to, discard and reshape. I firmly believe that we cannot be content with restoring our services and our justice system just to back what they were before the pandemic. Together, we need to build a legal profession and a justice system that are better than they were before the pandemic, that deliver more justice to more people in more ways than ever before, with legal professionals who are healthy and who know where to turn in times of trouble. Lawyer assistance programs like LCL are and will continue to be on the vanguard of the work we have to do together. Your work helps lawyers, judges, and law students. Your work sustains families and relationships, fulfills the needs of clients, and, as you know, even saves lives. It is just an honor to join you for this impressive milestone of an anniversary for Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers. Thank you again for all that you do and for your valuable collaboration with the American Bar Association. My best wishes to you for your next 45 years of outstanding service to the lawyers of Minnesota and leadership for lawyers everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, President Rifo, also known as Trish. So thank you so very much. And I can't overemphasize how crucial it is, some of her remarks today, not the least of which was her focus on diversity and inclusion, and by looking at the ABA support of lawyers who are not only teleworking, but the disproportionate effect on the underrepresented. And so by us all working together and her focus on this Forward Initiative project, we are increasing and they are increasing, working with all of us, the image of the profession and the system in the eyes of the non-lawyer public. And in the end, as she says, it's in the end all up to us. But I so appreciate, and I know we all do, her focus on these critical issues, both pre-pandemic, but especially now during the pandemic, because we owe it to each other and our profession and to the community and within which we each live. So thank you again, President Rifo. Now, many of you are familiar with the scenario in our next video, and you're wondering, what's the judge talking about? Well, let's hear how this person used LCL services when they were faced with unexpected circumstances.
I've always been a casual drinker. One time a colleague talked to me after a firm event where I'd had a lot to drink. So I usually waited until I got home, but my intake was generally pretty low. I began working remotely in March 2020. Working from home removed those natural boundaries between the beginning and end of the day. I drank earlier, drank daily, and often fell asleep drunk and woke up hungover. My productivity dropped because I was working from home. But was it? I was more stressed, and when I drank, I could ignore the stress. It was a vicious circle, and I didn't know how to get out. A colleague asked if I was okay, and I laughed it off. Then I wished they would ask again because I wanted to give a different answer. Unbeknownst to me, I was a discussion topic at my firm, as my production and appearance were noticed. My supervising attorney requested a meeting. Oh, I was nervous and sweating as I opened the virtual window to a face I barely recognized. I was prepared to be fired. The supervisor and HR director were waiting. I expected the worst, but a hand of hope was offered. The firm had called Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, and they knew what to do next. I attended treatment and was sober for 3 months and now 4 months again after a recurrence. LCL helped me understand that recurrence was not a failure, but a step on my personal road to recovery. I have peer and staff support through LCL, but they've never revealed this to my firm. LCL is confidential. I don't know where I'd be today without LCL.
A sincere thank you for sharing that story with us. By doing that, you set an example for each of us and law firms, private and public, courts, state, federal, local, national, and that we're all in this together, and with the support and care and understanding of everyone, including LCL, we can keep hope even the most difficult times as we take each day at a time. Come back with me, if you will. So let's look back in the past year. LCL has quickly pivoted to meet the needs of our profession. LCL has published articles, as many of you know, and created new CLEs about how to navigate during these trying times. LCL collaborates with affinity bars and other organizations to provide customized programs. LCL has, as again a number of you know, offered new groups and connection opportunities to help reduce the isolation of the pandemic and to manage the stress we experience as our profession is on the front lines, as we've mentioned before. As Caitlin Rose mentioned earlier, LCL services are not just for judges, and I think hopefully you all know this. It's for lawyers and law students. We also help families as well. And here's a video about how a family can indeed use our services.
Through the help of 2 lawyer friends 25 years ago, I stopped drinking, and I'm so grateful for my life of sobriety. Out of this gratitude arose a willingness to serve in a number of volunteer positions within LCL over all these many years. I was reasonably knowledgeable about alcoholism, but my wife and I felt totally helpless to reach out to our son, who followed the same sad path I had been on. My stress level and feelings of hopelessness were overwhelming at times. Our son had become increasingly isolated and was seldom sober for long, even though he was able somehow to maintain employment. I found myself sharing my frustrations with a fellow volunteer who reminded me that LCL provides services to family members as well as lawyers, judges, and law students. I knew that, I just wasn't thinking. Through the help of fellow LCL volunteers and staff, the right resources were found. We held an intervention, and our son accepted help. I learned more about alcoholism in families and how to support him. Our son is now sober, and his life has changed for the better. So has ours.
Moving forward, and you've heard this before today, but it can't be overemphasized. There's no doubt that the last year has taken a toll on everyone's mental health. Let's be out in the open. As many of you have said, we're in the same storm, but in different boats. But we all need a safe and secure place during the best and most difficult times. And we know that this profession is demanding even when there isn't a pandemic. Here's a video about a lawyer who remembered that LCL was one call away. That's one call away.
At the close of my first trial, I felt very down about the way things had gone and the likely outcome. The feeling I'd had when I walked out of the courtroom with the client and my managing attorney was overwhelming. I felt terrible. Not only did I feel an enormous sense of responsibility and disappointment for having let them down, but I was hoping for attorney's fees. When the court issued the order denying my client an award of fees, I felt like a failure and was suicidal. My managing attorney told me that we would get through this and reminded me that the case could have gone either way. Her words provided little comfort at the time. Somehow, I called LCL. I had learned about LCL through a CLE when a member told his story, but I never thought it would apply to me. I talked to someone immediately and had an appointment with a counselor within hours. I can honestly say I don't know that I would have survived but for LCL, the immediate response and the ongoing support. When you're in crisis, you either need an ER or an appointment immediately. LCL was able to provide the necessary service. And the most comforting thing is knowing that contacting LCL is absolutely confidential.
We told you earlier about a well-being toolkit. Joan will provide us with more information and a perspective that we hope will be helpful to you as we incorporate all of the pillars of well-being into our personal and professional lives. So I'd like to bring back Joan Bibelhausen, and here we go with that toolkit.
Thank you so much, Judge Frank. Thank you, President Rifo. Thank you, President Ebert, for being with us. We really appreciate it. Today, we've been talking about stepping up with LCL for well-being. We appreciate those who have donated, who are LCL volunteers, and who are our allies in supporting our profession as we try to do our best work. LCL will always be here when there is a crisis or serious issue. That's our heritage, and it's the fire in our bellies. But you need not wait until there is a crisis, and you certainly need not wait until you think you have the time. The time is now. So we're beginning and ending with a well-being tool. You had the meditation, thank you, Spiwe, and what you see on the screen now is a graphic that portrays the pillars of well-being, your toolkit. If you look them over, you will see that intellectual and occupational pillars are on the top, and that reflects what we often think of as being most important: our work as legal professionals and our status as legal professionals. Remember what we said earlier about being in the same storm in different boats? The other aspects of well-being, physical, emotional, social, and spiritual, are your foundation, your boat. What happens if there's a leak? Can you do your best thinking when your foundation or your boat is at risk? Plus, we see everything through a cultural lens. It is critical to be attentive to all aspects of our well-being, including critical, and I have a little tool for you to use. I'd like you to think about where you are most challenged as you look at these pillars. If you twist an ankle, you don't keep running, you rest. How will you care for the place that needs extra attention? Make a plan now. And then identify where you are strongest. How can you build on that to support other aspects of your well-being, to have the strongest foundation? You can make a commitment to build that foundation so you can do your best thinking. And now, back to you, Judge Frank.
Thank you so very much, Joan, for those very wise words. And as we conclude, I want to thank each of you, that means everyone, for spending time with us today. And hopefully we'll continue to do that during the best and even during difficult times like this. But sincerely and hopefully, we want to give a huge thank you to our event sponsors. This wouldn't happen without that because we're used to the larger in-person events. And their sincerity and their support to the event made it free for anyone to attend and sign up. Importantly, please remember LCL will be there in a crisis, but you need not wait until that crisis comes, because it's so safe to seek help, to reach out. It's not a sign of weakness. And whether you're concerned for yourself or another person, we are truly just a hotline and a call away. And I called it a hotline, but it's a warm line. So seriously and sincerely, if you or someone you know needs assistance, LCL is just a phone call away, and it truly is safe to do that reach out. It's not a sign of weakness. It serves everyone's best interest. It's the right thing to do, and there's never the wrong time to do the right thing. So I want to sincerely thank you for being here today and stepping up for yourself, your colleagues, and your profession. Have a great day, stay safe, and stay well, and thanks again for joining us today, and take care.